What happened? Everything collapsed. It was as if it was being erased.
And that portal we were investigating opened up. We just jumped in as a last resort.
I kind of remember, but I'm hazy.
A symptom of traveling to a new realm. But what is this place?
Don't you recognize it? The elders took us here when they recruited us all.
You mean?
Yes. This is the Master Realm. But what's going on? This wasn't in the elders' plan.
Something isn't right.
Wait. Be quiet. We're not alone. It came from over here.
It can't be. It's...
The shadows. And they have friends.
They're building an army. But for what?
Isn't it obvious? Clearly for an invasion. We must find and warn the elders.
Based on what I just heard, we need to get to the outpost planet.
It's a good thing that we can create a bubble for us all to get to this next planet. Maybe it's not that far. This is why the elders recruited us.
Yes. Let's take your bubble and see what we can do.
We better make it. I don't think we have much time. All the more reason why we have to warn the elders. Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball! The war within! The divisional matchups began with a bang, with some close ones coming down to Monday night, a few heartbreakers, and we still have one undefeated and one winless team heading into another non-divisional week. We also had some horrible, if not gruesome, injuries to star players as our league is hurting, and no one seems to be immune, with our top team even suffering a tough loss for a few weeks. But no other team is hurting as much as one that was in our last as the Overcomers took on the Fighting Mooses at Philosophers Maze. The Fighting Mooses will need to overcome adversity in a big way following an 89.16 to 86.4 loss to the Overcomers. The Fighting Mooses will now need to become the first 0-4 team to ever make the playoffs. Not that isn't possible. The problem is tiebreakers and divisional records, so they need to probably win 9 of the last 10 matches to truly have a chance. Usually 7 or 8 wins can possibly get you in, but again, tiebreakers can be rough. They also lost Malik Neighbors for the season, a very tough break. And once again, the players to watch struggle in our game of the week. A possible new curse in 2025? The Overcomers did the right thing and benched Bill, who finished with 57 yards. Jordan Mason was held to 72 yards against a porous Steelers run defenses for the Fighting Mooses, and the lack of a touchdown by Mason did them in. The one thing that kept the Fighting Mooses in it was 25 points combined in kicker and defense. The Broncos D nearly brought them a win on Monday night, but fell just short. Jalen Hurts added 2 touchdowns, and Hunter Henry also scored. They did leave Jalen Warren in despite being inactive right before kickoff, which was a huge mistake with multiple options on the bench. The waiver pickup of Kenneth Gainwell, which poured salt on the wounds of the Fighting Mooses. led the Overcomers with 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen added 3 touchdowns, and Saquon Barkley also scored. Xavier Worthy came back from injury to collect 121 yards. It's the second straight low-scoring close win by the Overcomers, but a win is a win, and they are keeping pace in the Dream Division. The other matchup in the Dream Division went down to Monday night as well, as my squad, the Stars Are Right, took care of Green Acres in a 104.88 to 93.86 win. Tua Tagovailoa had 2 touchdowns on Monday, while Devon Achane added 101 yards and a score. Puka Nacua was the star with 170 yards and a touchdown. The problem is that the running back depth took a hit for my team, with Trey Benson going to IR. Green Acres did have touchdowns by Garrett Wilson and the Patriots defense. Baker Mayfield scored twice despite being injured, but it wasn't enough in the end. In the Shadow Division, the Clash at Demonhead had a big week, besting Treatham and Yeadham 120.56 to 86.42, and this was while leaving Romeo Dobbs on the bench with his 3 TDs. James Cook is looking very good this season. He had another strong outing here. Christian McCaffrey finally had a game that matched his draft pick, and DK Metcalf went off as well. The Lions defense really shined with 3 sacks, 3 forced turnovers, and a touchdown. Treatham and Yeadham fell back to earth a little bit, with just the Sun God continuing to shine with 2 more scores from Jared Goff. Deebo Samuel also reached the end zone. The other match in this division was wild, with Thorlacher surviving in a 143.4 to 133.24 marathon. Patrick Mahomes turned back to his dominant self with 4 touchdowns. Ashton Jeanty went off for 3 touchdowns. Travis Etienne showed up his skill again as well. Overall touchdowns really drove this team to the win here. Pounders was led by Justin Fields and Josh Jacobs with a couple scores, and a shutout by the Texans defense. But it's a rough start for the defending champions despite their best week of the season. The Stellar Bitches took care of Low-Key Lebowski Thor in the Power Division in a 97.8 to 70.38 win. Bijan Robinson showed off his rushing and receiving skills. Kyler Murray added a couple of touchdowns, and Roma Dunze reached the end zone again as well. Lebowski Thor had a nice game by Quinshawn Jenkins and by Quentin Johnson. Geno Smith had 2 scores, but also had 3 picks. Could be a big reason for the loss here. And Golden Ticket remains undefeated after a huge 95.88 to 90.38 win over Remember the Titans. This game became closer than expected at the end thanks to J.K. Dobbins, but Bucky Irving and Amarian Hampton both led the charge with over 20 points each for Golden Ticket. Lamar Jackson did get hurt and is expected to miss time. Drake London led Remember the Titans with over 100 yards and a score. The Dream Division still has the Stars Are Right and the Overcomers up top. The Stars Are Right have 47 more points at the moment. Treatham and Yeadham still has the most points in the Shadow Division, but Thorlacher by record and the Clash at Demonhead by head-to-head record are ahead of them. And Golden Ticket is now 2 games up in the Power Division and also has a sizable points lead. And speaking of Golden Ticket, they get another big-time match against a team that would have beat them this past week in the Clash at Demonhead as we get ready for our next non-divisional. This time we're in the Scorched Farms. Let's check in to see how our journey is going.
We must remain vigilant. We're getting close to neutral territory.
What do you mean by neutral?
This planet was split from our war with the Elders, but with Obscitans Abyssus and other void creatures wreaking havoc before the other realms were created, we both needed to focus our power on small territories to keep us safe.
And this is not considered Overseer territory anymore?
The Scorched Farms is actually Overseer territory, but the problem is that the farms were damaged so much that it has slowly weakened, leaving it open to attacks.
But the Elders already sent those scavengers after us. What else can they do?
Just like the Shadows, both the Elders and the Overseers can control elements and also possess things. But we denounced possession, and the Elders believe it is better to trick others, like yourself. You believed in the Order of Light before, correct?
Yes, but I had my doubts after a few visions. Now I know we were all pawns in a larger war.
You are half right. The Order of Light contains both Elder loyalists and those they tricked like yourselves. You must not trust that all Order of Light members can be persuaded and brought to our side, but some can.
We don't even know all the species that exist within the Order.
The Elders are number 1, and we were number 2 before the war. Queen Mab and the Aishi became number 3, and of course, you know, Mario, the number 7 were the Dream Priests. Number 9 is the Shadow Brigade, including you, Franklin, and you, Constance. And number 10 is clearly this league, but even we do not know everything, as the Elders mostly set this up. We believe number 4 and 5 are the Changelings, who can change their faces, and the Travelers, who can create bubbles to allow safe passage through portals and vacuums in space. Number 6 and number 8 are a mystery to us, and that might mean they don't exist anymore with the collapsing of realms currently, though they could also be tied to the Elders more closely, hiding their existence from us.
It would be good to find the ones in these groups that could help us. But you're saying it might be difficult to trust anyone.
You should let them earn your trust, just like you let me earn your trust. I saved you from the maze and from the scavengers so far. I sense you are trusting me more and more.
We do like you, Kian, but trust is still fickle because of how badly we have all been burned by the shadows, and more recently, the Elders.
Yes, you all have powers we don't understand, and you live in this place. You guide us, but we still don't know what is actually happening. We are more trusting of you, but we need more solid information.
That will come in the next section. Until then, keep close to me. We are entering the neutral part of these farms. To keep our minds free is a must. We must avoid these soul snatchers. And in order to do so, we must think about the upcoming big-time match between the Clash at Demonhead and Golden Ticket. Can the Clash at Demonhead continue to score at a high level this season and get a signature win? Will Golden Ticket remain the only undefeated team in the league? Can they turn several third-round picks into a title?
What is happening?
Clear your mind. Only think of the games, or you will be consumed.
I get it. Constance and Franklin, I must protect you. Let me take your minds into the League's dream. I can hold my own with Kian.
Wait, what? Football? I never thought I would watch you like this again.
Constance, this must be Mario, but just go with it. Brings you back to the good old days, doesn't it?
Yes. A simpler time.
They are safe now, Kian. I have a block on my mind, but you can answer me this. What are these soul snatchers?
They are the remnants of the civilizations of this planet's past. More will be revealed soon. For now, let us continue on.
Demonhead come in with a 52.6% chance to win. Golden Ticket will be looking for O'Marion Hampton to lead them here with Lamar Jackson out and Bucky Irving dealing with injuries. And when you see Christian McCaffrey and James Cook on the other side, that disadvantage does look a little scary. We would also think that Jamar Chase and Devontae Adams would be big advantages over Marquise Brown and Zay Flowers. But Adams might be the best of the four right now, with Chase being non-existent with Jake Browning throwing his way, and with Brown now getting a rejuvenated Mahomes throwing his way. Tight ends are very sporadic for all of us, but Brock Bowers, if healthy, holds an edge over Travis Kelce. Trevor Lawrence must score points for the Clash at Demonhead at quarterback, but Daniel Jones needs to be serviceable as a fantasy backup for Golden Ticket with his injured quarterback in Lamar Jackson. And can Marvin Harrison Jr. avoid drops in the flex for Golden Ticket? Defenses will be huge here. The Rams D is up against McCaffrey on the other side. The Lions are up against Chase and the Bungles on the other side. So we'll see what happens there. But the two players I'm calling out here, they're both running backs. The Clash at Demonhead, I'm looking at Rashad White currently in her flex. And White is slated to lead the backfield for Tampa Bay if Bucky Irving is out. White hasn't really lit it up in his career when it comes to yards per attempt, but he has been known to get goal line carries, passes out of the backfield, and really has scored some touchdowns, 18 in the last 2 years. With Seattle being a tough run defense, the passing game is the most likely place for White to contribute. The problem is that White is really only viable if Irving is out, or very limited. And if that's true, White could get many touches, whether it's runs or throws. White did have over 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns just 2 years ago. So he's clearly capable, especially for fantasy purposes. He also still had about 1,000 yards and 9 scores last season, and that was with Irving to contend with. Now, it must be said, the Seahawks held Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Warren, Elvin Kamara, and Trey Benson to under 70 yards on the ground this season so far. They also allowed over 70 yards to McCaffrey and Warren through the air, though. But just 1 touchdown to running backs, and it was a passing score, so none on the ground. If Irving is out and White can make damage in the passing game, it could be a very good surprise to lead the clash at Demonhead. But if Irving plays, or if White is just simply held in check, those lost points could be the difference in what is expected to be a very close match. On the other side, Golden Ticket is going full sleeper with Ollie Gordon. Gordon is a rookie backup to Devon Achane. He did score a touchdown and is getting some carries for the Dolphins, but he still has just 60 yards and 18 carries and 4 yards on 2 receptions this season. He's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. So Golden Ticket is looking for him to really get a breakout here. At the same time, there's really nothing available on the waiver wire to help with the running back position at the moment for any of us. Thank you, Overcomers. So why not give the rookie a chance? He did look good in week 3 with 38 yards on 9 carries, including that touchdown. Golden Ticket might be happy with that again. But he also probably wants a few vulture touchdowns near the goal line if Achane and the Dolphins get inside the 5. Of course, he goes up against the Panthers this week. If the Dolphins can take a big lead, Gordon might get garbage time carries as well. But really, let's look at what the defense has done. They've allowed 3 touchdowns on the ground in 4 games so far. Now, they did only allow Travis Etienne to go over 100 yards in the 4 games. But the big stat, they allow over 5 yards per carry, which bodes well for Gordon if he does get those goal-to-go opportunities. If Gordon can reach the end zone once or twice, it'll be a big boost for Golden Ticket's chances, obviously. But if he's left with minimal production, like all but really the 1 week against Buffalo, it could be the end of an undefeated season. Possibly. I personally don't think either of those players are going to do well. Reverse curse. I bet Golden Ticket and the Clash at Demonhead hope so. And now the other matchups this week do have some interesting storylines too. The Fighting Mooses are still hoping for their first win of the season and actually have a 63.3% chance to win over 1-3 low-key Lebowski Thor. Jalen Hurts in a tough matchup against C.J. Stroud is interesting to watch, especially since Stroud cancels out Nico Collins' TDs. Lebowski Thor needs some big games from Jameson Williams and Quinshon Junkins. And the Fighting Mooses need big games by Kenneth Walker and Jordan Mason. 1-3 Green Acres has a 64.3% chance to win against 2-2 the Stellar Bitches in a pretty big match. Green Acres is going with Jackson Dart in a big-time sleeper call against the Saints defense. Dak Prescott has a tough matchup as well, so that could be big. The Stellar Bitches need Cam Scatterbo and A.J. Brown to step up with some of their better players on a bye, Bijan Robinson, Roman Dunze. Green Acres would love to see Justin Jefferson from last year and needs Breece Hall to clean up against the Cowboys defense. Remember, the Titans has a 52.5% chance to win against Treenum and Yeadham as both teams come in at 2-2. David Montgomery versus Jamar Gibbs is interesting. Jared Goff and the Sun God connection goes up against Drake May and George Pickens as well. Amika Buka might be an X factor here for Remember the Titans. The Overcomers are hogging all the backup running backs and come in with a 66.7% chance to win over defending champion Pounders, which hopes to avoid just the second 1-4 start by a defending champion in league history. Josh Allen is always a key for the Overcomers, especially with Justin Fields and his garbage time touchdown runs. Saquon Barkley and Javonte Williams have tough matchups. So let's look at some X Factors. Woody Marks and Xavier Worthy look to be X Factors for the Overcomers. Keon Coleman, because he can cancel TDs from Allen, is an X Factor for Pounders. Finally, we get 2, 3, and 1 first place teams when Thorlacker takes on my squad. The stars are right. Thorlacker now has a 58.6% chance to win after the Trey Benson IR news forced Pacheco back into the lineup. Jaden Daniels does return from an injury, and more than 20 points will probably be needed against Patrick Mahomes on the other side. Devon Achane also gets a decent matchup and will hope to score big. Puka Nacua and Jalen Waddle will surely be needed. And look out for Ashton Jeanty and Travis Etienne on the other side. Don't sleep on the Colts and Vikings defenses either. Both might go off with those matchups. Week 5 is always a crazy time with how big our matchups really always look based on record. Overall standings can really get flipped around, and we still have a chance at 2 new divisional leaders after the dust settles this week. Of course, we'll be watching the final undefeated team in the game of the week, and we will see if this is the week that the Fighting Mooses finally get into the win column. So a lot of storylines. Another crazy thing, only 2 playoff teams from last season are currently in playoff position. 2025 has surely been a wild time. That's the show! Hope you enjoyed it. Join us again next week as we get into a 2-week stretch of divisional play to close out the first half of the season. And of course, we continue to try to survive in the Master Realm. Until next time, salut! Before you go, check out the updated power rankings.